Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another PUBG video. I can finally say that I have thoroughly tested the new update from A to Z and figure out all the settings that you need to set to be able to run 120 FPS, PUBG 120 FPS on console smoothly and with the correct sensitivities too. So this video is split into two parts. The first part is the console settings that you need to make sure that you're setting correctly. And then after that, we'll move to the PUBG settings and what you need to do in terms of sensitivity updates. I went over the sensitivity update a couple videos ago. It didn't change too much from what I had set, but I did additional more, like a few more testing hours of testing, and I did tweak my sensitivity a little bit. So we're gonna talk about this in the later part of the video. But before that, the patch notes were a little bit like not too much information in the patch notes. It just said that if you have a device like a Xbox Series S, Series X, PlayStation 5, and PlayStation Pro, what does the frame rate priority run and what does the resolution priority run? But it didn't mention anything about how your console will be processing the signal that is sent by PUBG. So I'm not like a super tech guy, but I think I understand enough to be able to test it and to be able to give you a conclusion. So let's start. So first we're gonna start with console settings. I am on PS5 Pro, but it should work the same for the other consoles in theory. I'll go over them one by one. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to show the Xbox settings, but I'm assuming that they're equivalent settings to the PlayStation. So first setting that you need to make sure that you have is under saved data and game app settings. You have under game presets, make sure to have this performance mode on. It's kind of like it matches with the new PUBG settings. So this performance mode is kind of like the frame rate priority, whereas if you set it as resolution mode, it's kind of the resolution priority that PUBG have added. So once you set performance mode, you're gonna have to go to screen and video, and here is the tricky part. So this is the toughest part that took me so long to test. By default, this resolution is set to automatic, and it's the same on PlayStation Pro and PlayStation 5, and I think you will have the same setting on Xbox too. Like by default, it's set to automatic, and then it will allow you. This is 2160 pixels is the 4K. This is the QHD, and this is the HD. Okay, just think about it this way. Now, what PUBG in their patch note has said that PS5 Pro will be able to run 1800 pixels at 120 FPS. 1800 is not really available here, right? So you can either set this, or automatic, which will pick up what your monitor is able to do and then choose which one. So 1800 at 120 FPS, really, for me at least, it's not an option. And then it will tell you that 2160 pixels is PS5 Pro is able to run this one, so 4K at 60 FPS. So, and then for the normal PlayStation, which I think most people have, or most PlayStation population have, and I would say it's the same. So PlayStation is the kind of like the equivalent of, in terms of 120 FPS, it's equivalent to Xbox Series X, right? So if you're on PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, you're gonna be able to run QHD, so it's 1440p pixels at 120 FPS. Now, by default, if you keep it as automatic, what the PlayStation does, and I was able to test this because I use a capture card to record my gameplay, and then from the capture card, I sent that signal to OBS Studio, which is a recording software. So when I set it as automatic, the PlayStation, once I load PUBG up, it will default to 2160. So this is the raw signal that the PlayStation will send to my capture card. It will default at 4K, And then it will tell me all my settings are on 120 FPS. So I am sending a 2160 pixels, so 4K at 120 FPS, which is not available. PUBG cannot handle that. So I don't know why this disconnect is happening. I don't know if PUBG is sending the right signal. I have no idea what's causing this. So you see the signal, the raw signal coming off of my PlayStation. If I set this to automatic, no, I'm not gonna do it now. I don't want to mess things up. If I set this to automatic, which is already by default, it will choose the biggest one, that the highest one that my monitor can handle. In my case, it's 2160 because I have a 4K monitor, and it will try to send it as at 120 FPS. But PUBG does not handle 4K, which is 2160 pixels at 120 FPS. It only handles at 60 FPS. So I don't know what's happening in the background. And I thought that my gameplay is, I had a lot of FPS drops. I had, the game didn't feel right. So what I did some research, and I was like, okay, what if I force it to use QHD, which is 1440 pixels? That way, the raw signal that comes out of my PS5 to my recording, whatever, and to my monitor, to whatever capture card, will be 1440 pixels at 120 FPS, and there you go. So the PlayStation, this is what the PlayStation, normal PlayStation and the Xbox Series X can handle easily. PS5 Pro will run this easily because what the patch note says, that the PS5 Pro is able to handle 1800 pixels at 120 FPS. So it should have no problem handling the QHD version. Also, I don't really need to play on 4K. So to me, or not to me, like to everybody, and even PUBG, 2160 pixels, which is 4K at 120 FPS doesn't work. So when I set it to automatic, it will pick up the highest one. So it's just not working. Something is just not working. And I don't know what the PlayStation is doing. I don't know what PUBG is doing. I don't know who's doing something wrong, but it's just not working. So I force it to QHD, 1440 pixels, and I test it out. It will tell me, I don't want to test it out now, but it will tell me what are my available options. It will tell me that one of my available options is 120 FPS. Great. The reason why it's available, because I'm setting here this setting as 120 FPS automatic. But before we get that, just make sure to set the resolution. So let me do a quick summary. If you're on PlayStation 5 Pro, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, force your console to use 1440p. If you're on Xbox Series S, however, to be able to play 120 FPS, you need to force it at 1080p. Okay? This is the only case. If you're on Xbox Series S, force it to use 1080p. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to play 120 FPS. Now, for PlayStation specifically, I turn this one off. VRR, it depends on your monitor or your TV. My monitor can easily support this, so I keep it on, because when I turned it off, I noticed FPS drops. Now, I know some people with a monitor that is not as powerful as mine, if they keep it on, they're gonna have a lot of screen tearing. So you need to kind of experiment with this setting, turning it off or on based on your monitor or TV. I don't care about the setting. Of course, 120 hertz is for the 120 FPS. I keep it automatic. The only option is automatic or off, so I keep it at automatic because automatic for me means like it's on. So my monitor doesn't support ALLM, and I honestly don't know what this is. So I'm just gonna keep it off. And then here, HDR, I experimented with both HDR on and HDR off. I like the colors more when HDR on, so I keep it on, and my monitor is able to support it. And the signal that that my PS5 Pro is sending to my capture card and to my editing software is actually very stable. So the most important two settings is don't leave this at automatic, because it's gonna mess up something, as I explained before. And then the also important setting here is that just use performance mode. Now, once you set up your console like these two main important settings, you're gonna go to PUBG, you're gonna go to settings, You go to graphics and then set frame rate priority just to match what you have done on your PlayStation. That will give you the smoothest, or like from my experience, this is the smoothest experience I've had since the new update. Everything, I tried everything else, and everything seemed like everything else felt laggy, not laggy. Like there's FPS drops. There's like just the recoil control. It didn't feel right. The colors of my recording were all messed up. So this is what I've done so far, and I'm confident that this is working very well for me. I tested it in, let's say, in ranked, and I did very well. So I'm in Diamond 1 now. I'm actually very close to Masters. Here, let me show you. I am 39 points away from Masters. So anyway, so this is the first part of the video. Second part of the video is sensitivities. So I didn't change much from the previous video because I realized that the problem that I'm dealing with, no, the problem that I tried to solve is the horizontal recoil. I explained it in the previous video. I'm just gonna add it as a link, add it in the description if you want to refer to it. So everything that I said holds. I think I said that PlayStation Pro natively supports 4K at 120 FPS. Disregard that. It doesn't. I just explained it in the first part of this video, but everything else holds. So the problem that I was trying to solve is the horizontal recoil that was created at 120 FPS. So my solution was just lower your sense. I did lower my sense, and then I ran into a small problem. That small problem was I had, because my sense is now lower, I had to do more effort in controlling the vertical recoil from distance. And to be honest, it's just my muscle memory. I mean, if I could spend more time to just get used to it, but instead I didn't have time to rebuild my muscle memory. So I just increased my vertical sensitivity multiplier from 71 to 73. And everything is pretty much the same. I decreased the 3x by 0.1. And this sense worked like super well for me. I'm lasering people from distance with my scope spraying. I think I'm just gonna make a video when we hit Masters, hopefully very soon this week, and you'll see. So I think that's pretty much it, really. Yeah, I mean, I was able to put it all in one video to explain it very simply, but this took me hours and hours and hours of configuration and testing, and then like trial and error, as we call it. So try it yourself. Let me know if it works for you, and I hope that improves your experience on the new update and you enjoy 120 FPS. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now we'll see you all in the next one.